Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Texas once again. So this is another beer that was very kindly given to me by my friend Anna, who brought this back over to Sweden with her. So a huge thank you to her for this one. And this one is a bit of a kind of cult classic in Texas as far as I can gather. So for this one we're going to the small town of Shiner to visit the Spoetzl Brewery, and we're having a taste of the Shiner Bock, which comes in at 4.4%. So this one should be really interesting. I've got quite a few friends over in Texas and America, and a lot of them have been saying you need to review this beer, and I've only just been able to get a hold of one. So once again, a big thank you to Anna for giving me this beer. Really looking forward to trying this actually and seeing what all the hype's about. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Spoetzl Brewery. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. The whole channel uses a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever you're interested in. There's also playlists of beers from the different countries. Do check out the interviews, sake and whiskey reviews that are on there as well. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review, especially if you're watching in Texas, and your support is always hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Spoetzl Brewery and the Shiner beers. So Spoetzl Brewery was founded back in 1909 as the Shiner Brewing Association, and it was actually founded by German and Czech immigrants who wanted to kind of replicate the beer they'd had in their home countries, because it simply wasn't available in Texas at that time. But the company is actually the oldest independent brewery in the state, and it's based in the small town of Shiner near Houston. The town only has about 2,000 people, and this is actually one of the bigger kind of craft breweries in America today actually. But every drop of beer that these guys produce is brewed in the town of Shiner. But the first brewmaster at the brewery was Herman Weiss, who was from Galveston, and the original beers were apparently Lenten beers, so they were only available in the spring. But the brewery grew in popularity, and so they actually sought out a professional brewmaster, which came in the form of Kosmos Spoetzl, who'd actually trained back in Germany. And after apprenticing in Germany for 3 years, he also worked at the Pyramids Brewery in Cairo in Egypt for about 8 years, and he also worked in Canada as well. But he was lured to the company with the promise of an ownership package, and he took full control of the ownership of the brewery in 1915. And during Prohibition in America, I think that was the 1920s if I'm not mistaken, but Kosmos actually managed to keep the company afloat after selling what they were calling near beer, I guess a sort of non-alcoholic version of beer, and also making ice as well. So the company was actually very small in the 1960s and 1970s. They only had about 1% of the Texan beer market actually, but they really started to grow once they were acquired by Carlos Alvarez of San Antonio, and today the Shiner Beer Company, or the Spoetzl Brewery, is part of the Gambrinus Company, and they now employ about 120,000 people, and they're the fourth largest craft brewery in America and the 10th largest brewery overall. So they do have quite a big operation. I think they produce somewhere in the region of 300,000 barrels of beer per year, which is quite impressive. And as you might have guessed, back with it having a German heritage, most of the beers do stick to a kind of German style, although they do have an American pale ale as well. So yeah, that's your history of Spoetzl Brewery. Just to list the other beers you can get from these guys, they've got quite a few actually. Like I said, most of them are German style. They've got the Bock, the Premium, the Bohemian Black Lager, Light Blonde, the Rebirth, the White Wing, Wild Hair Pale Ale, and they've also got a few different seasonal beers as well. There's an Oktoberfest one if I remember rightly, and they've also got a new beer that they produce every year to kind of celebrate their anniversary as well. So quite cool. Even though they are a kind of bigger and quite established brewery, they are still producing new beers every year and kind of keeping up a little bit of that craft spirit. But it's always cool to encounter some of the really old breweries in America that do kind of stick to these smaller brewing principles. So really looking forward to trying this one. So we'll get on it to the tasting of this beer itself now. So let me just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. There you can see there's the ram down there. Ram is quite often used on German beers actually. When I lived in Germany, there was a lot of beers used that kind of ram or a deer head or something as their symbol. So there you can see there's the Spoetzl symbol up here. Nice little bit of label artwork at the top, and the ram of course is on the bottle cap here. So I'll just read out the little bit on the back here. It says, small town, small brewery. Every drop of Shiner beer is brewed right here in Shiner, Texas. Population of 2,070 by a handful of local craftsmen who take pride in our little brewery. And our classic Shiner Bock First brewed in 1913, this lightly hopped American Bock has a clean flavour and a slightly sweet finish. We hope you enjoy drinking it as much as we enjoyed making it. So yeah, I was going to say that in the next little bit of the video. This beer, of course, was introduced in 1913, so it has been around pretty much just as long as the brewery. Originally it was a Lenten beer, and I read that it takes up about 73%, 74, 75% of their production actually. It says on the side here as well, Bock beer combines old world Bavarian heritage with American handcraft brewing for a smooth, delightfully drinkable dark beer. Processed and handcrafted in the same brewery it was made back in 1913. This gently hot medium brown brew is the pride of Shiner, Texas. So yeah, nicely presented. Rate Beer actually has this one listed as a kind of amber lager sort of thing, but I think it is meant to be a traditional Bock, and it is actually a twist cap on this one. So there you are. Nice smoky opening on this then as we get it out, and we'll stick it into the glass. Looking forward to trying this one. So as you can see, it's actually poured a really nice kind of crystal, almost crystal coppery colour actually, maybe more leaning towards a mahogany sort of thing. There's a half finger of a kind of bubbly white head on this one. It's not really quite frothy, there's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass on this one, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. It's just becoming a very thin foamy layer. There's about 2/3 of the bottle in this glass just now, but we'll take a closer look at the aroma. Looks a really nice beer. As you can see, if I put my fingers behind it, there is a degree of transparency, but you guys might struggle to see that just because of the colour of this beer on the camera. So let's have a closer look at the aroma then. Yeah, you know, it really does smell like a kind of typical German style beer, this one. Yeah, you've got that kind of light biscuity malt in there. There's a little bit of caramel. It's a bit toasted as well. You've got some of that kind of bready malt base that you often get from things like German Pilsners or the Dunkel beers and stuff like this. You can really pick that up in this beer. To me, it actually smells a bit like a Dunkel, to be honest, rather than a Bock beer. Bock beers are usually quite a bit more bready, in my opinion. So when I lived over in Germany, we used to go into Bavaria a little bit and always get some of these big Bock beers. You always, of course, you get the Doppelbock as well, but you also get the Maibock, which is the lighter and more bready kind of single Bock version than the Doppelbock. But with this one, it has a little bit of a bready malt base, but not quite so prominent. Some biscuity notes on top. You've got the caramel in there, and it does smell as if it's kind of like syruped or a little bit toasted. It smells something like that. But you can definitely pick up these kind of noble hop elements in there. You've got a little bit of earthiness and a bit of sort of grassy floral character too. But really the aroma is leaning far more towards that kind of biscuity and slightly toasted caramel side of things. I would really say that. So the aroma on this one is really prominent with that. There's a little bit of the noble hop character, nice sort of slight grassy and earthiness in there. But it does smell like a typical kind of light German style beer. So yeah, let's get stuck into this guy then. As I say, this is a bit of a cult classic in Texas, and a lot of viewers in Texas have been asking me to review this one for quite some time. So a big thank you to Anna for finally giving me one of these beers. She was a star. She brought me like 5 Texas beers, so a huge thank you to her. This one's for you, Anna. Slanja, skål. That's interesting, this one, because I can see, I always like these beers actually. Like one of the beers that I really enjoy actually is Modelo Negro from Mexico. I really like that, and this one to me actually reminds me a little bit of that. It's got the same feel. It's meant to be light and drinkable, but it has just that little bit more flavour to it, and it's got a darker flavour as well, which is what I really like. I always enjoyed in Germany the drinkability of the German Dunkels. The Bock beer, of course, usually is a little bit heavier. This beer, I wouldn't say, it's a bit different from the Bocks that I've had in Germany before. Usually the German ones are a bit lighter, but obviously this is maybe engineered a bit more to kind of suit the Texas palate. Of course, Texas is one of the hotter states you're going to find in America. They want beers that are light and drinkable, and I can really see what this one's going for. Like I said, it kind of had, to me, it has the same feel that Negra Modelo or Modelo Negro has actually. But it's nice actually, and if I wanted something that was just really light and sessionable, this would certainly hit the spot. I like when it comes to, I would much rather drink a beer like this than a kind of macro lager, if that makes sense. This is quite a highly produced beer, but I do like the fact that it has a bit more depth to the flavour. I like it that the beer is darker, if that kind of makes sense. I like some of the kind of bigger produced darker beers are really quite nice. But that's good. I can see why my friends in Texas really like this one, because it has that kind of traditional German feel to it. It's light and drinkable, and it's got a little bit of depth to the flavour as well, which is nice. And of course, that's the big thing when it comes to craft beer now. You want to have a depth of flavour rather than just, you know, being fizzy water essentially. So this is nice. So in terms of the flavour of this beer, in the middle of the palate you're getting that typical kind of pale malty, slightly bready character. That just blankets the middle of your tongue. Right in the middle of the palate there's a kind of slightly oily caramel character. It's a bit toasted, and as you move further out you can feel a little bit more grainy character, but it's mainly a sort of biscuity, almost syrupy sweetness. It reminds me of some of the kind of digestive biscuits that we get over here in Europe. I'm not sure if you can get those over in America right enough, so maybe you guys won't know what I'm talking about with that, but it's a sort of this kind of biscuity thing, or cookie I guess you guys would say over there, and it's just got that little almost slightly corny syrup kind of flavour to it, I would say. So yeah, overall the flavour on this beer really does lean towards that sort of biscuity or cookie malt with a little bit of caramel. There's a little bit of hoppiness at the side of the palate there too. You can get a wee bit of the earthiness from the noble hops in the back corner of the palate, and as you come further forward there's not really much floral character to you. You can feel the earthiness just smoothing out, and then you have a little bit of grassiness around the front curve of the tongue there. But like I said, the kind of really interesting feature about this beer is just how drinkable it is. It's not as common as you might think to find a beer that has the sort of caramelly flavours that this one has, that is so drinkable. This is definitely lighter than the Dunkel beers you're going to come across in Germany. It's got more of a wet mouthfeel, but like I say, it's all to do with how hot it is over in Texas, I would guess. It was the same in Japan with the German style beers that they brewed. They were all quite light in the mouthfeel. But yeah, that's nice. You know, I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. This is a really, for me, this kind of hits the spot. As I said, I really enjoy the Negro Modelo. If I'm just at a kind of standard pub that's not a craft beer pub, if there's a Negro Modelo, that tends to be what I would go for. This one, of course, in Europe is a little bit harder to find, but if I was in Texas and just, you know, the kind of standard bar, if this was available, I certainly would drink it on that occasion. It's really quite nicely done. I can see why it's quite a popular beer, because it has a good bit more flavour than a lot of these macro lagers like Lone Star and things are going to have. So that's pretty cool actually. I'm really glad that I've been able to try this one. So if you like Negro Modelo, this is a kind of beer I could recommend for you. If you like the sort of flavour profile that you get from a German Dunkel beer but want something a bit lighter for the heat, then again, this is a beer that's going to suit you. For me, I'm not quite sure it's about Bock. That's the one thing I would say about this beer. For me, a Bock beer is always a bit heavier and more bready, but at the same time it does have the kind of caramel flavours that you would like. As I say, it's probably engineered simply for the heat, but overall I really quite like this one. I'm really glad that I got to try it because it is such a cult classic in Texas. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this beer, it's probably light-bodied. I think it's probably fair to say it's light-bodied. It's got quite an oily mouthfeel. The carbonation has a little bit of crispness to it. The malt base is quite sweet, like I said. There's no kind of dryness or bitterness to it at all that you can sometimes get from cereally things. But it's got a nice bit of the malty sweetness, like I said. There's a wee bit of dryness from the hops, but overall it's quite smooth. But I'm not really getting any fruitiness from this one. Sometimes you get a little bit of red fruit from the Dunkel beers, but I don't think in this one. There's maybe just a little bit of fruity character, just a little bit of figgy character behind the front curve of the tongue. But other than that, you know, it's a really, the point of this beer is it's got a nice bit of flavour. It's more flavourful than the macro lagers and things you're going to come across. It is, of course, a craft brewery apparently, so it's got a nice bit of depth in it. And if you want something that's easy drinking, but has more flavour than macro lagers, this is a beer you are going to enjoy. So yeah, it's been really cool to review this one. As I say, a bit of a Texan cult classic. Thank you once again to Anna for giving me this beer. I hope you guys watching in Texas have enjoyed this review. Hopefully I can review some more of the Shiner beers at some point too. It'd be cool to actually go and have a look at the Spoetzl Brewery the next time I go out to America. That would be very, very cool. So thank you again for watching my beer reviews. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer and your favourite beers from the brewery in the comment section below. Do recommend some other Texan beers for me to have a look at as well. But until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Make sure you check out my social media, and I'll catch you soon with more beer reviews. As I say, if you enjoy a nice kind of Dunkel style beer that's easy drinking, then this is one that you're going to enjoy. I really like the caramel flavours in this one. Until the next time, slange it just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Cheers.